Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Alex Diaz Claremont, son of the first female president of the United States, and his sister June are in the White House discussing how the tabloids are covering their personal lives. The two joke about how much the press gets wrong and how they enjoy intentionally misleading them. They also talk about the British royal wedding of Prince Philip, the Queen's oldest son, which they're about to attend. On their way to London, Alex talks about how much he dislikes Prince Philip's brother Henry, whom he believes is pretentious, boring, and closed off. Alex's best friend Nora, who is also the granddaughter of the vice president, teases Alex about dancing with Henry at the wedding, and Alex blushes. At the wedding, Henry asks June to dance, which irritates Alex. Alex thinks that Henry is only dancing with June to make him angry. He's even more irritated that Henry isn't paying enough attention to June, and Nora speculates that Henry only asked June to dance for the photo opportunity. Upset about Henry, Alex begins to get very drunk, and he remembers that he used to pore over a picture of Henry in one of June's teen magazines when he was 12 years old. He was entranced by Henry's picture, but when he met Henry in person, Alex was disappointed. Henry and Alex talk at the wedding, and Alex, in his drunken state, tries to antagonize Henry. The two end up in a physical tussle and topple the $75,000 royal wedding cake. The press covers Alex and Henry toppling the royal cake as though it is an international incident, dubbing it Cake Gate. President Ellen Claremont and Zara, the president's chief of staff, are not amused by the events. They tell Alex that for the sake of America's relationship with the British monarchy, Alex has to go to London and pretend to be close friends with Henry. Nora and June quiz Alex on the dossier of information about Henry that the Crown has sent over, and the three make a drinking game out of it. Alex judges all the facts he learns about Henry and is convinced that Henry is boring, fake, and intolerable. Once in London, Alex sits with Henry for a TV interview, and the two pretend to be the best of friends. They also go to a children's hospital, and Alex overhears Henry talking to a child with leukemia about Star Wars. Alex is impressed with how warm and genuine Henry is. Just as Alex says he is surprised Henry has normal human emotions, there's a sound like gunfire, and the two are rushed by security into a supply closet. The two end up on top of each other and have a brief fight, physically tussling and insulting each other. But while they wait in the closet, they talk about the first time they met in person at the Olympics, and Henry apologizes for being rude to Alex, saying his father had just died at the time. They talk about Star Wars and playfully argue about which movie in the original trilogy is better. Alex is surprised by Henry, and they exchange phone numbers. Alex and Henry's fake friendship goes over very well in the press, and the public becomes fans of the two famous sons hanging out together. Though they continue to give each other a hard time, they slowly move away from antagonism and begin to develop a real friendship. Alex and Henry text, and Henry reveals to Alex that he doesn't want any of the crown's money because of his country's legacy of genocide. Alex is impressed. He sends Henry a box of campaign buttons with his face on them as a joke. They tease each other about Star Wars and Harry Potter and exchange stories about their families. Alex goes to visit Rafael Luna, the youngest U.S. senator and a friend of the family. Alex is trying to lobby for a political endorsement for his mother's re-election campaign, and Luna teases Alex about when he used to intern for him. Alex, June, Ellen, and her husband Leo have a family dinner, and they each share one good thing and one bad thing that happened in their day, which is a family tradition. Ellen offers Alex and June jobs in her re-election campaign. Alex as a researcher and June in communications. Alex is eager to accept and thrilled he doesn't have to wait until he's done with college to start officially working in politics. June, who wants to be a journalist, is resistant because the position would further compromise her ability to work in journalism. Alex learns that the turkeys that are pardoned by the president every year are put up at a five-star hotel by the taxpayers. This upsets him and he decides to house the turkeys in his room. He finds that he is, however, afraid of the turkeys. He ends up calling Henry for moral support and they talk on the phone for the first time. Henry teases Alex mercilessly, goading him into getting very close to the turkey so Henry can hear the turkey's frightening gobble. Alex insists that Henry show him a picture of Henry's dog, David, whom Alex learns is named after David Bowie. This makes the name seem much cooler than he'd originally thought. During Christmas dinner, Ellen and Oscar, Alex and June's dad, get into a fight when Oscar suggests campaigning with the family. Deeply upset about their holiday meal being ruined, Alex reaches out to Henry again and they have a heart-to-heart talk on the phone. Alex tells Henry the story of his parents' divorce and Henry listens sympathetically and tells Alex he did his best. Henry and his best friend Pez come for Alex, June, and Nora's famous New Year's Eve party. They all have an epic good time, and Alex teaches Henry to dance to popular American music. At midnight, Alex kisses Nora, who Alex used to date, and Henry is jealous. Alex finds Henry in the garden, and Henry kisses him. Henry disappears before Alex can say anything. When Alex can stop thinking about the kiss with Henry, he begins to reevaluate his ideas about his sexuality, and it shakes his assumptions about his heterosexuality. He thinks about the sexual experiences he's had with a male-identified friend in the past and times when he felt attracted to men. He thinks about how he's been less likely to examine his sexuality because of his mother's political career. He realizes he feels like he has to play a role that is grounded in being straight. He makes lists about his conundrum, and he does research on the presidential views on bisexual identities. When nothing else calms him, he throws himself into work. Alex confides in Nora and tells her that Henry kissed him. Throughout the conversation, Nora is surprised about all the very obvious things that Alex doesn't understand. Nora says that Henry is obviously gay and that Alex has had a crush on him for many years. She tells Alex that he's been flirting with Henry over text and it's clear he's developed feelings for Henry. Throughout the conversation, Alex is still reeling, trying to catch up. Though everything Nora says makes sense logically, he still struggles to name what he's feeling and figure out the best path forward. Still confused, Alex calls Liam, the friend from high school he had a few sexual experiences with. He asks Liam if what they did together was meaningful. Unlike Nora, Liam tells Alex that he can't decide anything about Alex's sexuality for him. Henry comes to the White House for a state dinner as planned. Alex, in a peak of sexual frustration, gets Henry into the Red Room and kisses him. They make out against a portrait of Alexander Hamilton, whom Alex is named after. The detail almost makes Alex laugh. Alex's security guard, Amy, warns them that people are coming. Alex invites Henry to his room, and they have sex for the first time. Alex mentally compares what is done to Washington crossing the Delaware and imagines the official portrait that could be painted of the two of them. Afterward, Alex comes out to Henry as bisexual. He also keeps it casual and tells Henry that they can get together again anytime, emphasizing that they're friends with benefits now. Alex decides to go to Apollo match and fundraiser that Henry will be attending. Everyone is skeptical of him attending because it's so posh and out of character, especially June, who Alex hasn't come out to. At the polo match, Alex watches Henry ride a horse and is attracted to how good Henry is at polo. Henry and Alex have sex again in the tack room at the match while Henry is still wearing his polo gear. Later, they exchange flirtatious emails that still have a bit of antagonism in them. They try to arrange to meet at a rainforest fundraiser in Paris. Alex and Henry continue to make headlines with their public friendship, and the world is charmed. Alex has vowed to keep their relationship purely physical, but he increasingly has romantic feelings for Henry, and is not sure what to do about them. He has trouble naming what the feelings are and downplays them in his head and to others. Alex and Henry takes a trip to Paris and they end up spending the entire night together for the first time, which Alex enjoys but feels it is more intimate than he counted on. They celebrate their birthdays together, sneaking into the same hotel room, protected by Alex's security guard Cash, who knows the nature of Henry and Alex's relationship. In between traveling and clandestine meetups, Henry and Alex continue to get to know each other. They share stories from their childhoods, tell each other about their siblings, and commiserate. Alex notices that some days Henry falls into a dark mood or depression, and it's difficult to engage with him. Alex wishes he could help more. He notices that he's attracted to Henry no matter what his mood is. Henry confides in Alex about his sister Bea, who has been called Powder Princess in the press because of her struggles with addiction to cocaine. Meanwhile, more people are finding out that Alex has a romantic interest. Zara spots a hickey on Alex's neck and insists he should be seeing a girl from the approved list, cautioning him not to interfere with his mother's re-election campaign. June confronts Alex about sleeping with Henry. Alex is surprised he figured it out, and June is hurt he didn't tell her. Like Nora, June found it entirely obvious that the two of them were together. June also reveals that she's known that Alex used to look at a picture of Henry from her teen magazine and that he had a crush on him since Alex was 12. Since Alex wasn't quite aware of those things himself, he's surprised and appreciative of his sister's insight. June encourages Alex to realize that he has feelings for Henry, but Alex is resistant. Alex's graduation party is interrupted by the announcement that the presidential race is officially between Richards and Claremont. Alex eavesdrops on his father talking to Luna about something terrible that happened in Richards' past, but he doesn't understand exactly what they're talking about. Alex, June, and Nora meet up with Henry, Pes, and Bea, and the six hang out, get drunk, and have a wild fun time doing karaoke. Alex and Henry sleep together. They wake up the next morning, hungover, and Alex feels like he finally has friends. Alex and Henry exchange increasingly passionate and seductive emails. Their emails often include references to literature, such as Jane Austen, or historical events, such as the acts of kings and presidents. They both express how much they miss each other, and Henry quotes Sense and Sensibility. Alex remembers that he was educated on private email servers a few years back, but notes that the details are kind of fuzzy to him. Henry and Alex are also in a group text with Nora and June, and they all enjoy teasing each other. Henry's emails and text messages are a great comfort to Alex as the campaign picks up steam. The Richards campaign is playing dirty, and his campaign messages are laced with racist ideas about Claremont's Mexican family. Now that it has come down to Richards versus Claremont, there's a lot of speculation about who Richards' running mate will be. Alex gets into a disagreement with Hunter, the intern, over voter engagement of disenfranchised people, and Alex is infuriated by Hunter's presumptions and white privilege. He looks up test dates for the LSATs. Henry invites Alex to Wimbledon, where Alex sits with Henry's family and encounters Prince Philip and his wife for the first time since their wedding and cake gate. Philip makes some rude comments about pests that have homophobic and racist undertones. Philip also talks about how Henry should be running in better circles so he can find a wife. Henry leaves and Alex finds him by the clubhouse, angry and frustrated. Henry is in the mood to rebel, so they have sex in the clubhouse, which is risky, just to spite Henry's homophobic family. They leave the tennis match and go back to Henry's rooms in the palace, where Henry plays the piano for Alex. As Henry plays Your Song by Elton John, who is an icon for Henry, Alex feels the unmistakable stirrings of love for Henry. He both acknowledges and denies to himself that he's falling in love. At the Democratic National Convention, Alex and the rest of the Claremont campaign find out that Richards's running mate is none other than Rafael Luna. Alex and his family feel deeply betrayed by this, and Alex and June struggle to maintain public appearances as they grapple with the news. Henry, knowing how much this news will impact Alex, surprises him at his hotel. Alex describes all his feeling about Luna to Henry and how disillusioned he is by the betrayal, given that Luna was a big part of Alex's inspiration for going into politics in the first place. Henry listens and comforts Alex. They sleep together and oversleep. They wake up to Zara banging on the door of the hotel room. She barges in and discovers Henry literally hiding in the closet. She's furious but agrees to refrain from telling Alex's mom until after the convention. She demands that Henry go back to England. She warns them that this is a sex scandal that no one in the campaign wants to deal with getting out. Alex comes out to his mother as bisexual. At first, his mother is relieved, but then Alex tells her that he's been in a relationship with Henry for 7 months. She says that he needs to be serious about Henry because the relationship presents a significant risk to the administration. Ellen schedules an official debriefing meeting to discuss Alex's sexuality and the political ramifications of his relationship with Henry. She creates a PowerPoint and makes him sign a series of documents to ensure he's not misusing any funds to pay for his trysts. She also tells Alex that she's removing him from the campaign because he's too much of a liability given his relationship with Henry. Later, he comes out to his father, who immediately picks up on the romantic nature of his relationship with Henry and is accepting and loving of Alex's sexuality. Henry and Alex continue their increasingly romantic email correspondence. They include a historical quote from a famous LGBTQ+ person about someone they love in nearly every email they write. Alex empathizes with Henry because he finds himself stuck with nothing to do after being removed from the campaign. In his free time, he researches Alexander Hamilton, who he's named after, and suspects that Hamilton may have had a romantic relationship with a male friend. Henry, feeling bad that the relationship got Alex booted from the campaign, says he'd understand if Alex wanted to take a step back. Alex, instead, doubles down and invites Henry to come to his family's annual trip to their lake house in Texas. Henry says yes. Henry joins Alex, June, Nora, and Oscar for their trip to the Diaz house, which is on Lake Lyndon B. Johnson. They ride in the car to the lake, listening to music, and Alex feels giddy that Henry is with him in Texas. They talk about American history and their family history, and June teases Alex, remembering that the first time he ever got drunk was at the lake house. Alex and his father talk about Luna and how they're both disappointed and feel betrayed by the fact that he joined forces with Richards. Alex is moved to be in Texas, his home that he loves, and is moved to be with his family and to have Henry fit in so seamlessly. He thinks about the future and begins to imagine Henry coming to the lake house regularly. He realizes what has been sneaking up on him all along. He's in love with Henry. He gets Henry to go down to the lake with him in the middle of the night. Alex begins to talk about next year after the election, imagining there will be less pressure on the two of them, less scrutiny. He talks about slowing down the pace of his singular focus in his career and instead taking it day by day. He talks about enjoying spending time with the person he's with, gesturing to Henry. He starts to tell Henry that he loves him. Henry becomes distant and formal and swims away. The next morning, Henry is gone. Henry ghosts Alex and refuses to answer his text, and Alex is lovesick. He struggles to function or do anything other than check his phone. Without work to distract him, he spends his time pacing and worrying until he finds a love note that Henry left in his kimono the night they did karaoke. Alex can't stand the silence from Henry any longer, so he buys tickets for Cash and him to fly to London. Alex demands that Shan let him in and begins shouting outside of the palace. Henry lets him in and Alex demands to know what's going on. Alex tells Henry that he loves him and Henry takes off his signet ring. Henry tells him that he can't be in a relationship with Alex because of his duty to his country. Alex says he'll leave, but only if Henry directly asked him to. Henry can't, and the two make love. As it's happening, Alex isn't sure whether they're starting the relationship officially or saying goodbye. The next morning, Henry tells him that he's in, and the two are officially in a relationship and very much in love. Alex stays for one more day, and Henry takes him to one of his favorite places in London, the Victoria and Albert Museum. He arranges a private showing and takes Alex to a room filled with sculptures of figures from mythology and the Bible. Henry tells Alex it's always been a fantasy to take someone he loved to the room. He puts on Your Song by Elton John, and the two dance in front of the statues. Before Alex leaves London, Henry gives him his signet ring. When Alex is in the air, he puts the ring on the chain that holds his old house key. What follows is a series of love letters sent over email between Henry and Alex. They are in a similar situation, both stuck at home, staying away from the outside world. Alex often dreams in his letters of a time when they can be together more regularly, saying he hopes that can happen after the election. Henry wants to visit Alex in Texas and see the house that Alex grew up in. Alex asks Henry about coming out to his family, and Henry describes coming out to his brother. Prince Philip doesn't take it well and lectures Henry on his duty to his family's legacy. Henry describes the first time he met Alex and fell for him. He says Alex was the most incredible thing he'd ever seen and that he was afraid to get too close to him. Alex sends a list of things he loves about Henry, from his love to the way he plays the piano to his misguided ideas about Star Wars. He also encourages Henry to stay strong in the face of his brother's homophobia. They quote LGBTQ+ love letters from Beta Sackville West, Radcliffe Hall, Eleanor Roosevelt, Michelangelo, and Richard Wagner. Leaked footage of Henry visiting Alex at the hotel at the Democratic National Convention hits the media. The footage does not show anything intimate between Henry and Alex, but could set off rumors and jeopardize their position. Alex, June, and Zara go into triads mode, and June suggests that they stage a date between Henry and June. This will divert attention from Alex and suggest that it's Henry and June who are in a relationship with each other. June posts a picture of Henry from the trip to the lake house, in which she is kissing Henry on the cheek. The press picks up the picture and runs with it, posting a flurry of speculative articles about the romance between June and Henry. Alex goes on a stage date with Nora to further the narrative that he and Henry are both heterosexual. Henry flies in for a stage date with June, and Alex rides in one of the SUVs, so he's nearby on the date, even though they aren't allowed to see each other. After the date, June sneaks Henry into the SUV with Alex. Henry is dissociated after the date, on the verge of a panic attack, because it's too painful to pretend to be in love with someone else. They kiss in the SUV, and Alex promises that someday they'll be able to truly be together. Alex goes to see Luna, furious at his betrayal. Alex comes out to Luna, and Luna tells him not to share that kind of information with him because he's on the opposing campaign. Luna also advises him that if he wants a political career, he shouldn't come out at all and should live his life in the closet. Photos of Henry and Alex kissing in the SUV and their entire romantic email correspondence is leaked to the press. They're outed to the entire world. The press and the internet explode with speculation and stories about Henry and Alex. Alex sits down with his mother, who makes sure he's okay and helps him work out the logistics of being outed. Meanwhile, Henry and Alex are both on communication lockdown and can't get a hold of each other. Alex's family gathers around him and supports him. Alex and Zara fly to London, and on the way, Zara gets a hold of Henry through Shaan's personal line, and the two are finally able to talk. Zara reveals she's engaged to Shaan. Alex and Henry are reunited, and they hole up in Henry's quarters in the palace with Bea. Bea and Alex have a heart-to-heart talk, and Bea explains to Alex how grief will always be a part of Henry, and that he needs to understand that to love Henry. The next morning, Philip bursts into Henry's room, angry, and accuses Henry of being a coward. Henry tells Philip he loves Alex, and Philip mocks him. Alex tells Philip that Henry is the bravest person he's ever met. Alex meets Henry's mom, Catherine, and she is warm to him. They all meet with Queen Mary, Henry's grandmother, and the queen is cruel and homophobic toward Alex and Henry. Catherine argues that the crown should tell the truth about Henry, and the queen argues that the world will never accept a gay monarch. Bey interrupts to show them that there's worldwide support for the couple. They open the curtains and see that a crowd had gathered outside the palace to express support for Henry and Alex. Catherine threatens to go to Parliament, and the queen backs down. On the way to the airport, Alex sees a giant, loving mural of him and Henry, depicted as Han and Leia from Star Wars. He tweets a photo of it, writing, "Never tell me the odds." Alex returns to the White House and meets up with June to let his sister in on everything that's happened since he left. She's emotional and happy to hear that it worked out with Henry. She also tells Alex that Nora has been missing for the past 2 days, and though that's not unusual in times of crisis, Alex wishes she had been more present. However, when Nora does emerge, he learns that she got an anonymous tip from a hacker that the leak of Alex and Henry's emails came from the Richards campaign's private email server. She had been missing as she attempted to prove for certain that the allegations were true. The Richards campaign hired photographers who had been following Alex and Henry and taking pictures of them for months. They also hired the hackers who leaked the private emails. Ellen wants to take the story to the press, but she needs to know who anonymously tipped their campaign off. When Alex looks at the email, he knows it was Luna. There's a transcript of a podcast episode about the incident calling Luna the unlikeliest hero of the 2020 presidential race. Now that the information about who outed Henry and Alex is public, Alex makes a historic speech, which June writes for him, and Henry flies in from London to join Alex on stage. In the speech, Alex talks about how he has grown up as a child of America, full of the American dream. He describes how he and Henry both are sons of their nations and grew up with a sense of pride in and duty to their countries. He positions the outing of the relationship as a denial of freedom, but focuses primarily on their love. In the speech, Alex compares their love to that of other historical political couples. He admits that he was afraid to come out and urges the country not to let his sexuality impact how they vote for president. Alex goes to visit Luna and makes a peace offering in the form of a bag of Skittles. Alex feels compelled to ask Luna if he was involved in outing Alex. Luna knows that Alex has every reason not to trust him, but says he would never do that to Alex. Alex believes him. Luna reveals that when he was young, he interned for Richards, and Richards was inappropriate with Luna. Luna pretended everything was fine but couldn't stand the pressure and told Richards to leave him alone. When he did, Richards pulled out a file of information about Luna full of sensitive information that would ruin his career and his family's life. He blackmailed him into silence. All these years later, Luna joined the campaign to finally expose Richards' history of inappropriateness and abuse of power. Alex goes to London, and he and Henry pose for a photograph with the Crown's royal photographer. They sit on a bench in a park together, very clearly in love. As they are shooting, Philip comes to visit them. He has apologized for being cruel to Henry and Bea since their father's death and has had a falling out with the Queen. He tries to make overtures to Alex and Henry, and Alex finds it awkward. Bea exposes that Henry has signed on to run some youth homeless shelters in the United States, including one in New York. It was supposed to be a surprise, but Alex is over the moon about it because it means that he and Henry will finally be spending a lot more time in the same country. Election day finally arrives. Alex and his family are in Texas instead of Washington, D.C. Alex loves Texas but is nervous about the state's reception of him since he came out as bisexual. He's hoping that Texas will turn blue and vote for his mother. Alex is deciding between two very boring blazers. Nora encourages him to wear something that's more in line with who he is, and Alex is worried about being too flamboyant. Alex reveals he's playing it safe because he's afraid of being rejected by Texas because of who he loves. Nora assures him that the state loves him and that he's still polling well. She also gently tells him that the public outing was really traumatizing for him, so it makes sense that going out in public again, especially in Texas, would be difficult. He adds that he's struggling to really understand who he is now that the pillars of his identity, such as his singular focus on becoming a congressperson as soon as possible, have shifted. He tells Nora that he took the LSAT and they come to the unanimous decision that he needs to become a civil rights lawyer and fight for people who need him before he becomes a politician. Alex is invigorated and decides to wear a red, white, and blue Gucci bomber jacket to the election. Election night is tense and the race is very close. Henry is delayed in arriving but eventually makes it, wearing a tie patterned in yellow roses for Texas. Liam is there too with his boyfriend. The election comes down to a single state, Texas. Whichever candidate wins Texas wins the presidency. It has been over 40 years since Texas voted for a Democrat for president. June refuses to write a concession speech for her mother, refusing to accept defeat as a possibility. Then Alex is elated as Anderson Cooper calls Texas, and they watch it turn blue. They all celebrate. Henry goes on the stage with Alex as Ellen accepts her election. In her speech, Ellen thanks Texas and her family and says that their history of fighting for what's right helps determine the future. As everyone continues to rejoice, Alex and Henry ride bikes over to the house Alex grew up in. He uses the key around his neck to let them in.